Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag, and everyone seems to have already done this video, which I don't totally understand because the end of June, beginning of July is the middle of the year, but everybody did this video like 2 weeks ago, so I don't really understand, but I wanted to do this video and I'm super excited, so let's just get into it. So question number 1 is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And hands down, Priory of the Orange Tree. You guys know I adore this book and I'm just so glad I finally finished it this year. I can't cope. I read the first 100 pages last year when it first came out, and I don't honestly remember why I put it down. I think I was just really intimidated by the size of this book. It is a brick, it's huge, but this book is one of my all-time favourite books ever. It's incredible. I can't get enough of this story. I do have a blog post all about this I will link that in the description box, but yeah, this is an incredible book. There's so many incredible things about this book, and I'm not going to go into them here because I'll be rambling for the next 20 years, but you can check out that blog post, as I said, with my 10 reasons you should read The Priory of the Orange Tree. But this is hands down the best book I've read this year so far, and I can't cope. So question number 2 is, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? And there's 2 books. They're right behind me actually, if I can get that to focus. It's not going to focus, but we have Venom, which is the sequel to Viper by Bex Hogan. We also have Deck of Omens, which is the sequel to The Devouring Grey by Christine and Herman. Both of these books are incredible. They are 2 series that I basically got into last year. I read the first books before I went to Yalc, and I met the authors obviously when I was at Yalc, and they just hold such a special place in my heart because Yalc was the first like book convention or anything like that I'd ever been to, and yeah. I also need to mention The Wicked King because I finally read this year as well, and again, Holly Black and this series really holds a special place in my heart also because Holly Black was actually one of the first authors I ever met, and yeah, this is also one that's very important to me. So question number 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet but that you really are wanting to read, and for this one I'm going to go with The Forest of Souls by Laurie M. Lee. This is obviously an ARC copy that I got sent and I just didn't manage to get around to it before it was released, so this has just come out and I'm really hoping to get to it soon. It's on the top of my TBR pile basically, and I'm so excited for this and I think it's going to be incredible. It sounds so creepy and dark. Also, I love the fact that the main character's name is Saoirse but spelled phonetically, I guess. I mention that every time I talk about this book, I just think it's really funny. But anyway, I'm very excited for this one. It sounds really dark and whimsical and exactly what I love, so hopefully I will get to this soon. I'm definitely planning on picking it up extremely soon and I think I'll really like it. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys have read this before and you really enjoyed it, because obviously it is a new release that everybody is talking about and it sounds incredible. So question number 4 is your most anticipated release for the rest of the year. I have a lot of anticipated releases for the rest of this year, but I'm going to go with one that I am planning on reading very soon, and that is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. And yeah, I'm very excited to dive into this. It basically deals with like suffragists and it's set in New Salem. It's also set in 1893, so I'm very excited for this. It sounds very unique, very cool, and I think I'm going to really enjoy it. The arc is beautiful. Like, this isn't even the finished copy and it's gorgeous. I'm obsessed with this cover basically. But yeah, I think this will be one that I really enjoy. It's not overly long. It looks really long because it's a very big book, but it's one that I think I will really enjoy and probably fly through. So I'm very excited to get to this. This comes out in October. Yeah, the 15th of October this is released, so I'm very excited to get to this. Part of me wants to save it for Halloween time because obviously it is more suited to that time of year, but I honestly just want to read this, so I think I'm going to end up reading it really soon. Maybe I'll reread it around Halloween, I don't know. Question number 5 is the biggest disappointment. Honestly, I don't think I've been really that disappointed in any books that I've read this year. The only one I can think to mention for this is When Dimple Met Rishi, and I don't know where my copy has gone. It could be anywhere, I don't know where I put it, but I didn't hate this book. It wasn't for me. There was a couple of things in it that I didn't really enjoy. yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea, which was disappointing because I thought I would really enjoy it. I'm not a huge contemporary person, but I just had a good feeling about this book, and yeah, it just didn't really live up to the hype for me, but I can totally understand why other people are obsessed with it and love it. So yeah, it was a disappointment for me, but I can still see why it's a really good book and other people enjoy it, but just not my cup of tea. So question number 6 is the biggest surprise of the year. For this one, I'm going to go with And I Darken by Kirsten White. I knew I was going to like this book. It was one that I thought I would really enjoy, but I genuinely didn't know that much about the plot, and I wasn't expecting it to go the way that it did, so it was very surprising for me in that aspect, but it really surprised me how much I connected to the characters and the story, and I just really, really enjoyed it. I have got the sequel actually that I need to pick up soon, but I really, really enjoyed this book, and yeah, I really connected to the characters. I thought it was really engaging and very unique, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. So question number 7 is your new favourite author. This can be an author that is a debut author, or it can be an author that you just haven't read before, and for this one, I'm going to go with Nina Varela, who wrote Cry's War, obviously. This is a book that I absolutely adored. It was one that I thought I was gonna like, but it really shocked me how much I connected to these characters, and I think about this book all the time. This is so reflective, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put it down. Nina Varela is an incredible author, and I cannot wait for the next book in this series, and I just think that this is going to be a series, and Nina Varela is going to be an author that I follow for a really long time, and I'm just really excited to continue on with the rest of their books. I think this series is just going to be incredible. I can't wait for the next book to come out, and yeah, also this cover is stunning, so yeah. Number 8 is your newest fictional crush, and again, all of my books are like stacked, so it's really difficult for me to get them out, but I'm gonna have to go with Kaz, although he isn't necessarily a new crush for me because I read the first book ages ago. I finally finished Crooked Kingdom, and it's just kind of been a bit of an obsession for me, and Kaz Brecker. To be fair, Eid and Sabran are absolute crushes. They are incredible, and there's so many crush-worthy characters in this book. I have actually done a video recently talking about my bookish crushes, so I will leave that linked somewhere on the screen, and that will kind of answer this question in a bit more depth. But yeah, pretty much most of the characters in this book, but also obviously Kaz, because Kaz. Question number 9 is your newest favourite character, and for this one I'm actually going with a classic, which you guys know I don't read that many classics, which is ridiculous for someone who's doing a degree in English literature, but Jo from Little Women. I adore this book. I read it really early in the year, and Jo is one of my favourite characters of all time. I love her, she's hilarious, she's so feisty and flawed, but brilliant. She's fantastic, and I just adore Jo, and I will never stop being Jo up. She's incredible, and I just love this book so much. Monica actually sent me this edition, and I have wanted this edition for such a long time. It's basically a recreation of the original print, and it also has pictures in it from the new movie, so yeah. Saoirse Ronan is one of my favourite actors. I couldn't think of the word. Saoirse Ronan is one of my favourite actresses, and I just adore the fact that I have this now, so thank you so much again to Monica for sending this to me. It's beautiful, and yeah, it has Jo on it, so perfect. But yeah, Jo, one of my favourite characters. 10 is a book that you read this year that made you cry, and for that I have A Dog Named Beautiful by Rob Coogler. I read this a couple of weeks ago, I think, and it basically follows Rob Coogler, obviously, who is an ex-military serviceman. I'm not quite sure what they call it in America, but he was in the military, and he had a dog named Bella who basically ended up developing cancer, and the story is basically him taking Bella across the US, and it's an incredibly moving and emotional story. Obviously, you can kind of guess why this made me cry. This was just a very moving and very emotional story. It deals with a lot of other aspects. It's not just about Rob and Bella's journey, it's also about his childhood and his life and his time in the military, and his family. It's very multi-layered. There's a lot of information in here, there's a lot of different aspects to the story, and it's one that I'd really recommend, but you do have to be in the right place to read this because there are quite a few topics in here that could be triggering. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this, but maybe look up a little bit more information about it before you go into it. But I definitely enjoyed this and it made me cry like a baby. So number 11 is a book that made you happy, and for this one I'm going with Shadow and Bone. I just finished rereading this. It's a book that I read last year, I think, or maybe even the year before, and I finally got the rest of the series, so I can now read them all. So I wanted to reread this before I go into the rest of the series, and I literally finished this yesterday, and this reread was incredible. It makes me so happy to remember books that I read earlier on in my Booktube life. But yeah, I really enjoyed this story, and I think it's really funny that people have so many mixed opinions on this, because I had no idea that there were people out there who had such strong opinions against this book, and it wasn't until I reread it that people seemed to have these weird opinions. And you know, if you don't like this book, that's fine, that's not what I'm saying, but there are a lot of discussions about this book at the minute, and yeah, but I really enjoyed this. I think the characters are very unique, very interesting, and yeah, I really enjoyed this story, and I'm very glad that I finally reread it so I can pick up Siege and Storm. So literally going to start reading this today. I'm very excited to continue on with this, but yeah, this book definitely made me happy remembering reading it for the first time and just revisiting this world. So number 12 is the most beautiful book that you've bought this year or that you have received. And while I have loads of really beautiful books that I have picked up, I am going to go with my first edition of Strange the Dreamer, which I literally got for £2.50. I picked this up from a charity shop. It's literally the first edition with the sprayed edges, and it's beautiful. I adore this cover. I haven't read it yet because I'm a loser and I'm kind of worried about damaging it, but I am so excited to read this book, and this cover is one of my favourite covers of all time. It's really simple, but it's just really pretty. And yeah, I do have a ton of beautiful books that I have got this year though, so I will leave a link to the video I did literally talking about all of my beautiful books, so I will leave that on the screen somewhere. But this is one that I had to shout out because I'm a sucker for really simple but beautiful books, and you also know that I adore foiling, so I had to pick this one. So question number 13 is some books that you need to finish or read before the end of the year. And obviously, as I said, I really want to read Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising, and also King of Scars, so those are near the top of my TBR currently. I have a couple of books recently that I'm planning on doing a kind of series, I guess, on my channel where I read OG or very popular YA fantasies. So obviously I have the Mortal Instruments up here. I've only read the first 2 books, so that is going to be one of the first parts of this series. But I'm also planning on reading A Court of Thorn and Roses because I've not read this before and it's very popular, so I'm planning on reading this. I also have Vicious by V. Schwab. I'm planning on reading most if not all of V. Schwab's books because one of my favourite authors, and I've not read enough of her books yet. Yeah, there are a ton of books that I'm planning on reading the rest of this year, so I will leave links to the videos discussing them also. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a link to your own mid-year book freakout tags in the description, not in the description, in the comments, so I can check them out because these videos are always really fun to watch. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me in the next one. Bye guys.